On now to a tale of buried treasure and unfulfilled dreams of wealth. Do you remember the book called Masquerade by Kit Williams?
I remember those very surreal illustrations in it. That was the one, wasn't it?
That's right. That's where a golden hare was buried somewhere in Britain, and you could find it by following the clues set out in the book. Well, our next punter, Stephen Shipp from Swindon, has been on the trail of a buried golden key, following clues set out in a similar book written after the success of Masquerade. But, as we shall hear, it's been anything but plain sailing for our Mr. Shipp.
Dear punters, for the past 6 years, I and my friends have been on the trail of a buried golden key. The clues to the whereabouts of this treasure and a £50,000 prize are contained in a book called The Golden Key by Don Shaw. In the summer of 1987, national newspapers reported that the competition for the Golden Key would end in October of that year, although there was no time limit set in the book. However, there are conflicting reports as to whether or not the treasure is still buried. I personally have spent a great deal of time and money in the hunt, and I'd like to get to the bottom of this. Where is the treasure, and what has happened to the £50,000 prize? Yours sincerely, Stephen Shipp. The Golden Key is a bit like a ship's log. It's a tale of 16th century trip round the world following the voyage of Sir Francis Drake. Within this story, there are clues hidden as to the whereabouts of a golden key. I think we tend to...
Stephen, at present an unemployed artist living in Swindon, is, let's face it, obsessed with treasure hunting.
Our obsession comes in waves. I think you work on the book obsessively for a while, and then you just get completely fed up with it, and it goes away. And then you look at it again and somebody spots something new and you go back to it and you spend ages looking at it again.
Along with a small group of friends, Stephen spent years poring over the book until...
Fury as Golden Key Hunt called off.
Sunday Express, November 1st, 1987.
A nationwide hunt for a £50,000 Golden Key was called off yesterday. To the fury of thousands...
Book shut on treasure hunt.
Swindon Evening Advertiser, a week later.
Treasure seekers spent hundreds of hours and thousands of pounds looking for a golden key. But the 5-year-old trail for Swindon treasure hunters has ended.
In October 1987, the competition was called off. As regards the Golden Key, it had been announced that it had been dug up after the competition was called off. But since then, information has come to light that the key is still in the ground. As to what's happened to the £50,000, I have no idea, and I'd like to find out.
But before setting out on this quest, I was taken to meet the other members of Stephen's treasure hunting gang.
Hi, Charles.
Hello, Steve. Come on in.
Right. How are you getting on with the Golden Key?
Well, we've just been discussing the discovery we made last night.
You made another discovery?
Yeah. Come on in.
Charlie Affleck, along with Stephen, is one of the founder members of the group. His unassuming detached house in a leafy suburb of Swindon has become something of a shrine to the art of treasure hunting. The dining room table is spread with maps, tracing paper, reference books and compasses. And it's here that Mike, Barbara, Charlie and Stephen, the gang, discuss their latest findings.
I understand you've found an amazing new discovery.
Yes, we found that fits on there.
Goodness me.
And I don't think we've ever actually considered that
Let me just get my book and have a
proposition
look.
before.
Well, if I could just interject here, you've just put two totally incomprehensible plastic discs on top of each other and then slapped them on a map, which makes absolutely no sense at all to me. Do you think this is a major breakthrough?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, without a doubt, yeah. The instructions in the book tell us to do certain things, and up to now it's completely baffled us how this whole thing goes together. But in finding this, I think we're on our way to something major, actually.
What?
Ah, well.
I wanted to learn something of how the book worked and how the whereabouts of the treasure could be deduced. But treasure hunters take their hobby very seriously, and they wouldn't let me, an outsider, into any of their secrets, in case I spilled the beans and undid years of hard work. They did, however, agree to show me the tools of their peculiar trade.
Okay, well, here we have a fairly powerful torch.
Yes.
Here's a selection of digging implements.
Yes, shovel.
Spade, actually.
Spade, sorry, my mistake.
This is a special turf cutting implement.
While Charlie checked through the equipment needed for another dig, Stephen and I set off on our quest to find out if the key was still buried and what had happened to the money. We decided first to tackle the publishers of the Golden Key, Stuart Titles, in Glasgow. Not too bad, is it?
No, it's very comfortable.
I see you settling down with the Golden Key again.
Yeah, well, I can't go to sleep until I had a look at the book.
When was the last time you went on a train up to Glasgow, then?
Oh, goodness me, that was in 1980... 3, I think, yes. I was going from Glasgow to Inverness to search for the Loch Ness Monster with Charlie.
Did you find it?
No, we had some interesting times. We hired a boat out, and we actually spent most of the time on the loch. The boat had sonar and radar gear on board, so we were able to do quite a thorough search of the loch for this elusive creature. It proved almost as elusive as the Golden Key.
All right, well, I'll let you get on with the Golden Key. I'll probably have a bit of a kip now, I think.
A wedge of gold weighing 26 ounces he made from a small part a key all of gold. And now being blinded, had it hidden by digging into the ground and placing it in a with. Upon finding the key, it can be taken to Lord Treasurer of England or any of his men, whereupon the treasure will be forthcoming.
Morning. Welcome to Glasgow.
Thank you.
Not far from Glasgow Central and up a dingy flight of stairs, we arrived at the offices of Stuart Titles, where Stephen hoped to begin unravelling the mysteries of the Golden Key.
My name is Harvey Ward. I'm a director of a company called Ossian Publishers, which with another company called Stuart Titles took over the original publishing company called McClelland Publishers.
McClelland had been the original publishers of the Golden Key, but that company was taken over by Stuart Titles at just about the same time as Harvey came on the scene. And it turns out that he was never happy with the book from the start. Basically, the puzzle set by the author, Don Shaw, was too difficult, and both the author and the publishers were soon flooded with inquiries from treasure hunters, making sometimes wild guesses as to where the key might be.
It was just, quite frankly, a real pain in the neck. We received even a 100-weight stone with an inscription on it, which people thought, or the people that brought it up to us thought was the key. We received corkscrews. We received bowls of fruit. Why? I don't know.
So there was no time limit set on the book. Were you happy with the fact that it was called off after 5 years?
I think at that particular time, all of us should have got together and had a look at it and said, well, now, are we legally bound by it in any way? Which we didn't. We didn't do that, obviously.
In fact, the book as it stands is legally binding. And because there was no time limit set, the competition had to remain open, despite the fact that by this time, everyone involved in its production was fed up with the problems it had generated. It sounds a total mess. Has the whole thing been completely mismanaged?
That, from a point of view, from Don Shaw's point of view, of how he ended it, yes. I mean, he shouldn't have ended it that way.
But also from your point of view, I mean, you were the original publishers.
Well, we were the publishers, but we had nothing to do with hiding the key and calling off the hunt. It's up to the man who put up the prize to publish or to announce where the key is or how the puzzle can be solved. It's up to him.
We left Harvey's office, which incidentally was piled high with several thousand unsold copies of the Golden Key, frankly none the wiser.
The publishers have washed their hands of it, and they don't want anything to do with it anymore. They couldn't give us any real answers. They don't know whether the key's buried or not, or whether the £50,000 is still available.
All right, so where to now?
Well, I think we should go to the author, don't you? Don Shaw. Have a word with him about it.
To find the author, we travelled south to... Well, I'm not going to tell you where exactly, because Mr. Shaw feels that he's had his share of nutty inquiries, and he doesn't want any more people to know where he lives.
I'm Don Shaw, the writer of the book The Golden Key.
When it was first announced the competition was called off, why did you not unearth the key and just give the solution?
Well, the competition was called off only for a period of 24 hours. Then we had legal opinion from council to say that in actual fact we couldn't call it off because we hadn't declared in the book that there was a limit to the time of the competition. So instead of exhuming the key, we left it where it was. The problem has been that it's been difficult to notify everyone who was looking for it.
Do you now regret writing The Golden Key?
Yes, I think I do. I don't think it was... it's not something that I'm particularly proud of doing. It's not something I normally do. It's caused so much hassle to myself and my family with people ringing me up at all hours and people sending me registered letters, the postman waking me up about 6:30 in the morning, that I certainly regret it.
How do you feel about someone like myself who spent thousands of hours looking for the Golden Key?
Oh yes, well I mean obviously I sympathise. On the other hand, it had been running at that point I think 6 years, longer than any competition in the world. I think if no one had found it in that 6 years, then I didn't think that they stood much chance of finding it after that. But having said that, the competition has not been ended, it's still running.
Is the key still buried?
Yes it is.
Is the £50,000 then still available?
Yes, there is still £50,000 prize money available if someone finds the golden key, but the point is they must find the key and produce it.
And what happens if say, I find the golden key? What do I do with it?
Well, if you find the golden key, then you have to notify Mr. Hook, who is...
Mr. Hook, it turns out, was a treasure hunter, like Stephen, who was upset by news of the competition being called off. He got in touch with Don Shaw and subsequently bought the copyright to the book. It's now this Mr. Gordon Hook who's responsible for the running of the treasure hunt, as Don Shaw was at pains to stress.
I hope that anyone who's listening to this, who's been searching for the golden key, doesn't bother me anymore, keeps well away from me, and instead contacts Mr. Hook, who actually now is the sole proprietor of the book.
In hindsight, what advice would you give to anybody who is thinking of writing another book like this?
Don't.
Right, Stephen, what did you think of all that then?
To assure me that the golden key is still buried, and if I can find it, I can claim the £50,000 is wonderful.
Do you feel a certain degree of sympathy for Mr. Shaw, bearing in mind the pestering that he's had from treasure hunters, not necessarily like yourself, but other treasure hunters?
Well, before I started on this program, no, I had no sympathy with him. I said I kind of cursed him and thought that he had no right to do what he did. But since talking to him, yes, I do have some sympathy with him for calling it off.
And what questions remain to be answered now?
Well, we now know that the competition actually wasn't called off, or it's called off for 24 hours, and all the information has been passed on to a Mr. Gordon Hook, who's taken over the competition, and I think we really want to go and talk to him.
But you'll still be thinking about where the treasure might be buried, and you'll carry on looking for it?
Oh, absolutely. Now I know for certain the key is in the ground, and the £50,000 is still available. Myself and my friends will certainly endeavour to find it.
And so it was that in optimistic mood, and in my case, blindfold, we rejoined Mike and Charlie somewhere in Surrey. Encouraged by Mr. Shaw's assurance that the competition was still on, they'd gone to their latest X on the map of Britain to see if they could dig up the buried treasure. Oh, I see. Looks to me like an electricity cable. Yes, an electricity cable. And as if that wasn't enough, there was more bad news around the corner.
My name's Gordon Hook, Stephen, and I have purchased the copyright of the Golden Key from Don Shaw, effective from just before Christmas. And I'm sending a circular around to all the people who've written in about the Golden Key, pointing out that, in fact, the competition has now been suspended for the time being, and on my instructions, Don Shaw has actually dug up the key.
Hang on, that's not what Mr. Shaw told us.
There seems to be a little bit of confusion here. Don Shaw, the author, has told me it's still buried. Perhaps you can clear that up for me.
Well, this is a series of clear misunderstandings that have crystallized over the last few days. In point of fact, when I sent the circular around initially to those people who had entered the Golden Key competition, I was told that the key had been exhumed. It subsequently transpired that, in fact, it hadn't been exhumed, and I had no authority to do or say anything until such time as I purchased the copyright. The moment the copyright was purchased, my instructions were quite absolutely pellucid as far as Don Shaw was concerned, that he should, in fact, dig the key up and the competition should be suspended, with effect from the 1st of January 1989.
Why did he tell me then about last week that the key was still buried, the competition was still open, and if I found the key I could claim the £50,000?
Well, that's entirely up to him.
What I can't quite fathom is, assuming that when the hunt is resumed, the key will be buried in the same place as it has always been buried, who benefits by the whole thing being suspended for the moment? Why bother? Why not just leave it where it is and let people like Stephen carry on looking
for it? Quite simply,
because
if Stephen went along and found the key, there would be no funds available for him.
There are two crucial things here, I think, and as you're now taken over the running of this competition, I think you should really clear up yourself, because I'm finding all sorts of confusion here, and the idea of this program was to clear things up, and in fact I'm more confused than ever. The first is whether the key is buried or not.
Well, the answer to that is the key isn't buried. I mean, why do you question that? Why do you question everybody's veracity?
Because John Shaw told me last week it was still in the ground.
Well, I'm telling you now that it's no longer in the ground as far as I'm aware. You can't ask me things that I don't know anything at all about.
But should you not query this again with Don Shaw? I mean, he told me last week one thing.
He tells me it's out of the ground. As far as I'm concerned, it's out of the ground. What do you expect me to say? What can I say?
Well, if you've actually taken the contract over, then surely...
I haven't taken the contract over. I've purchased the copyright of the book.
But the
period.
The book in itself is a contract. It says if you can find this key, you will be awarded a prize of £50,000.
You can weasel word as long as you like, but all I've done...
And indeed, we did weasel word along the same lines for quite some time. But all we got out of Mr. Hook was that he believes the key has been exhumed and that he intends to restart the competition at a later date with some undefined commercial backing to fund the prize. Well, Stephen, were you satisfied with what you heard from Mr. Hook? Is your confusion ended?
No, I'm sorry. Even though Mr. Hook assures me the golden key has been exhumed, I'm afraid that I've still got my suspicions that it's buried after what Don Shaw told me last week.
Do you not think it's fair, though? I mean, that the whole competition has ground into a morass of confusion and mistakes, as far as I can see. Do you not think it's a fair solution to say, OK, hold on, we'll stop for the moment, we'll try and get commercial sponsorship to relaunch it and start again at a later date? That sounds reasonable to me, not to you, obviously.
Well, fairly reasonable, but you haven't been looking for it for the last 7 years. I mean, if you had spent the amount of time and money and energy that my friends and I have spent on it, I don't think you'd come to the same conclusion that I do.
And will you be continuing the hunt?
Yes, absolutely, yes. My friends and I will continue the hunt because we think we're getting very close to it, and we don't want to give up now.
And for all I know, Stephen and his friends could well be out somewhere digging at this very moment.